right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started just for the sake of time. Thank you for answering those questions. And again, welcome to our Housing and Dining Q&A session. My name is Liz Chase. I'm the Parent and Supporter Orientation Coordinator. I'm delighted to have you folks with us this evening, and I will have my colleagues introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Deb Rambat. I am the Marketing Director with Campus Dining.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Brandy Tenney, and I work in the housing office. I primarily oversee our first year side of campus, and I'm excited to hopefully answer some of your questions tonight.
Excellent. So before we begin, I did want to mention just a couple of logistical items. So I am recording this session this evening, and I will post this recording on our Parent and Supporter Orientation website. So if you'd like to go back through and rewatch or look back on this information, that will be available to you. And I'll put a link to that website in the chat in just a moment. So for this Q&A session, we will conduct it under the assumption that you've already gone through that Parent and Supporter online module and you've viewed the housing and dining video presentations. So really this Q&A session is an opportunity for you to ask any follow-up questions that you might have based on the information that you heard in the videos. Now, if you haven't gone through the module or watched the videos, it's absolutely fine. I will put a link in the chat to that module, and I would highly recommend that you go through that this summer. There's a lot of really valuable information in there. And yeah, so how tonight is going to run is Deb and Brandy are going to share a couple of brief PowerPoint slides highlighting some key information in their areas, and then we'll open it up to questions. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Brandy.
Excellent. Hopefully you can see this screen. Excellent. So many of you might have already gotten all of this information, either like Liz said, through our video or through emails and a variety of other sources. But we just want to cover a few tips or pieces of information we want to make sure that you didn't miss. And then, as always, write those questions in the chat, or at the end, we might have an opportunity to unmute yourselves and we can kind of have a conversation too to help answer some of those questions. One thing that's changed this year that we are excited about is that all of our incoming first year students are required to live on campus, which means when you put in your application, you are able to either select filling out that application or doing an exemption form. And we are viewing all of those both so that we can make our assignments as well as work with students to use those exemptions. So if you haven't yet and have a question about that, I'm happy to answer that for you this evening too. The reason why our institution migrated to this plan is that we know that students who choose to live with us on campus have a higher GPA, a better time to graduation than students who have chosen to live off campus. And so we encourage students to really consider what their options are when living with us. And when you turn in that application, you were able to prioritize what style you were most interested in. And as all of our assignments will go out about mid to end of June, you'll see in your GVSU email, it will have your assignment as well as information about who your roommate is and your move-in day. So important to read through that entire email. There's lots of great resources there as well, but we want to make sure that you're able to connect. Some people have come in and had requested a roommate ahead of time, which is wonderful. And if possible, we're going to place you together if you were able to meet the deadline and able to connect with that other person. However, we did launch a new roommate matching software called My College Roomie. We want everyone to go into that software and fill out the information, because it's not just for roommates. It's actually, we're finding students are able to create groups of friends in that system that they're looking forward to meeting once they get to campus. I think one student's up to like 90 connections or something like that. So once those assignments come out in mid-June, it'll be great to figure out who else is living in your building and where else you might want to connect, work on intramurals, things like that. So that's a wonderful opportunity. For other students that might be interested in participating in any of our living learning communities, one of the things that we did not include in the video is that we are now encouraging students to take a look at all of our living learning communities, not just in Allendale, but some new opportunities we have at our downtown campus. They are in our existing housing downtown, Winter and Sequia Hall, and they are social work, engineering, education, business, and undecided. So please take a look at those if you are interested. We would love to talk more about that. So that's my quick and brief housing information. What I will tell you is there's lots more to come as far as a suggested packing list, as well as information about move-in day. So if you have questions about any of those things, it will be coming in that assignment email, but there's also links to our main page that will help you navigate some things as well. So think of those questions. I'll look forward to answering them either in the chat or later in conversation.
So a quick review of some of the information you would have learned in the video that hopefully will help aid our conversation tonight. Students living on North Campus automatically receive a meal plan. There are two components to meal plans. So there are meals, and oftentimes people will ask, what is a meal? What does that really mean? So there's a couple of different ways that students can take advantage of a meal. They can go to the Fresh Food Company, which is an all you care to eat buffet with several different stations and lots of choices. If they don't want to go to the Fresh Food Company inside the Commons, they can go to other locations around campus, other restaurants around campus, and select items from the combo menu and then use a meal to pay for that. The second component of a meal plan are dining dollars, and that's really just a debit account that's specific to food purchases on both the Allendale and the Pew campus. So different meal plans come with a different level of meals versus dining dollars, and that's something we can talk about if you have questions. As I mentioned, students who live on North Campus automatically receive that 14+ meal plan as part of their housing contract. That cost is all built in together. However, students do have the option to change if they don't feel like that's the right plan for them. They can shift down to 10 meals per week with a little bit more in terms of dining dollars, or they have the option to upgrade to an unlimited fresh plan. It's an additional $125, but it does provide unlimited visits to Fresh Food Company, 10 additional combo meals at other restaurants, and $125 dining dollars for the semester. So you have the option to choose what's best for you. If your student gets housing on South Campus, we do not automatically include a meal plan on that side of campus because all of the living areas on South Campus have full kitchens. And because of that, we have no idea how much your student might enjoy cooking for themselves, or maybe they won't enjoy it at all. So you have the option in that case to choose from any of the 10 meal plans and just pick what really works well for you. Just to cover a few of the resources that we have available, students can check their meal plan balances online by connecting their account with Campus Dish. They can check at registers by asking the cashier or by using the GV mobile app. It's also available there. If you have a student who has food allergies and you'd like some more information there, we do have an allergen guide at gvsufood.com. There are also vegan and vegetarian guides available too. Online, you can find, of course, lots of information about the restaurants, locations, hours. We have a map, menus available, and there is a Fresh Food Company virtual tour also. We have a full-time registered dietitian on staff, so she's available to help with nutritional needs. She is consulting with students now, so if you have some specific needs and you want to get in front of it before the academic year begins, you're welcome to schedule an appointment with her online. You can do that via Zoom or in person, or via email, Zoom, or phone. She's open for all. And consultations for students are free. So if your student is registered and wants to have a conversation, they can do that. I also like to make a quick mention of jobs. We have a lot of jobs available on campus. We are hiring now. We have about 1,000 positions to fill. And it's a great way if you're budgeting and trying to stretch your budget. It's a great way to earn some free meals as well as an hourly wage.
We wanted to make sure that you had some contact information as well. And I'll leave this slide up now, but then we'll return to it again at the end before we part ways so that you do have an opportunity to take that down if you wanted to reach out and contact us in any way.
Excellent. So now really this is your time to ask any questions that you have about housing or dining. You can utilize the chat box, or if you'd like to unmute your microphone or your video, you can ask questions that way as well. Okay. My student is coming in from community college and has met all her prereqs already. Will she be required to live in freshman housing, or is there another option for her? She already has a roommate chosen who's in the same situation coming from a community college.
Great question. What I would encourage your student to do, for many of our students that are falling into a category where they have some credits, but this is their first time in any college as far as living on campus, we do encourage them to take a look at that exemption page when they're taking a look at their application versus exemption page and see if they fall into that opportunity. What I will say, however, is for many of our students, even if they are transferring, we do have housing available for students that might be considered sophomore and above that are available across campus. One of the things that Deb mentioned when she talked about South Campus or our full apartments, this is an opportunity for some of our students who are not maybe in the same first year category that would like to live on campus and have access to the resources and dining and the things that we plan and programming that is co-curricular in the buildings. This is an opportunity for your student, and it sounds like maybe a friend, to connect and be able to be placed together. So if that's something that is an interest, we would encourage them to fill out that application and request each other, or to take a look and make sure that they don't need to do that exemption. Hopefully that helped answer that question.
Another question about meal plans. Can my student opt out of the meal plan and just pay with a debit card?
That depends where your student lives. If your student lives on North Campus where cooking facilities are not available to the full extent, then they are required to have a certain level of a meal plan. And it's a little bit different depending on which building they're in or which style of living they're in. But if your student is living on South Campus, they are not required to have a meal plan and would certainly be welcome to use debit if they want to. There is, I should know, I'm sorry, I was just going to know, if you're not sure what building is north and what building is south, I'll put in the chat. We have a page on our website where it lists the name of every housing building and what meal plans are available when you live in that space. So I will put that in the chat in just a moment.
And Deb, thank you for doing that. One of the things I do want to mention is generally we cover a lot of the North Campus or, the general first year areas, but there are first year students that live in the apartments. For some students, they choose that option because they do not want to have a meal plan and they want to be able to cook more of their meals. Some of them are participating in our living learning communities. We have some students that are coming in with some credits or maybe a student athlete. So there's lots of options for students to take a look at where they might like to live on campus.
What if my student doesn't use all of their meals?
Okay, if your student doesn't use all of their meals, we have to kind of divide this out. There are weekly meal plans where students get a certain number of meals each week. And there are semester meal plans where students get a certain number of meals for the entire semester. If we're talking about a student who has a weekly meal plan, they use the meals throughout the week. They set Saturday night at midnight. So when they wake up Sunday morning, they start the week with the full balance of meals. So if it's 14, they start with 14. When we get to the next Saturday at midnight, those meals will reset. So if they haven't used all 14, whatever meals are remaining will drop off and they'll start again with 14. Now, the other category where they have semester meals, that balance just rolls from week to week. So for example, with the Casual Plus plan, it's 45 meals for the semester. So you just start with that chunk of meals and you work your way through it as the semester goes.
I have a question regarding the unlimited meal plan option and wondering if that fresh food company, does that refer to a location?
Yes, the Fresh Food Company is a restaurant that's on the entire upper level of the Commons, which is a building that's kind of in the center of campus. And it's you know, if you think of kind of a typical buffet, except for it's set up in 5 different stations throughout the restaurant, and then seating areas are mingled within. So for example, there's a, there's a salad bar with produce and fresh fruits and soup, 3 soups typically each day. There's a make your own waffle station. There's a bakery where we typically are serving, muffins and scones and things like that at breakfast. And then at lunch, it might be cookies and a brownie or cake or something like that. We have a stir fry area where students select their own proteins and vegetables and sauces, and then the attendant will make it for them in the mornings. It's a made to order omelet bar. We have kind of a comfort food station. There's also a typical grill. So we're doing sandwiches, grilled sandwiches, hamburgers, wraps, things of that nature. We have a deli station where students can make their own sandwiches or subs. We have a Mediterranean section. So there's often pastas, quinoa, things like that. We have a vegan and vegetarian station. There is a pizza station where we have pizza every day, but the different types of pizza are cycled in. And then we also have an allergen station. So students who are dining with food allergies, there's dedicated equipment so that they can do some of their own handling there. So when you go into Fresh Food Company, it's a restaurant with lots to choose from.
Thank you. So then on the unlimited meal plan, that would be the only location where you could get unlimited. And is that unlimited swipes? In other words, if my student wanted to go there 4 times, that's an option?
Yes. So it means unlimited meals at Fresh Food Company. So you're correct. Your student could go as many times in a day as they want to go. I do need to mention that's for personal use only. So if your student wants to go 10 times a day, they can go 10 times a day. So it's unlimited meals at the Fresh Food Company. And then in addition to that, every week, it's 10 combo meals at other restaurants around campus. And then there's also 125 dining dollars with that plan.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I will admit, Catherine, that right now I was just telling Deb, we're very excited that Fresh Food Company is open, and a lot of the faculty and staff that are here this summer, it's nice we get to see each other, just like it's a dining hall on campus, and the meals are excellent. I have told as many people as I can, come and get this lunch. It's awesome. So if you're here to visit campus, stop in, get to experience Fresh Food Company, because what Deb is telling you is absolutely true. There's all sorts of stations, and you could even customize at the station. So there was today a chicken that had a sauce, and I said, oh, no sauce, but extra asparagus. Of course, they just put it on a plate for you and hand it to you. It's fantastic. No preparing needed on your part. One thing that we sometimes get questions on is how do students access their meal plan? And it's on their student ID. So they're going to have that student ID, and it will be for their meals. It'll be for getting into the front doors of their buildings with a PIN code. It's very valuable. So they want to make sure they hold on to that. I do see a question about what day move-in is. That is a great question. Right now we are setting that move-in schedule. Generally, our move-in days are August 22nd through August 25, which is a Sunday through Thursday that week. And I'm telling you Sunday through Thursday because there's a chance it could be Monday through Wednesday, or it could be Sunday through Tuesday, depending on our work with GVPD and our facilities offices to make sure that we are in alignment with what we need to do in those move-in days. What I'll share is on each student's individual information that they will get on that email that includes their application or their assignment, it will tell you what your move-in day is. And there is, I promise, a plan there, and we stagger that move-in so that we're able to keep traffic moving throughout campus. So if you have questions about what that move-in day is, or you don't know that that move-in day will work, or perhaps you have 2 students that you are moving into campus, let us know. We do have some early arrivals for special programs, as well as marching band and students that are working in dining and a variety of other places on campus, and we are able to accommodate that, as well as a later move-in. So maybe you want to move it back one day because something else is going on, you need to finish a job or a camp, something like that. We're able to work with each student to make that happen. But I will say that many students are able to move in on that first move-in day and really get connected, and then they start their transitions program.
Looks like we have a question about athletes. Do they move in sooner?
Great question. Really depends on the team. Football, as you could imagine, generally moves in early. They have a camp and then they continue right on with their season. Each coach works individually with housing to determine either if they're going to assist in making placements or when they need to have their track athletes or their volleyball athletes or their basketball athletes moving in. And so we work with them to make that happen. In that first assignment email, it will include the building assignment information, but you'd want to reach out to your coach to find out what day that they would like to have students move in, if it's going to be with a regular building or if it's going to be based on their team.
Will there be anyone there to help us with the move-in?
Oh, great question. For sure, there's lots of folks out in parking lots and directing traffic from our staff and GVPD and facilities. Before COVID hit, we always had a program called Helping Hands, which is a wide variety of volunteers from alumni to students to faculty and staff that are stationed at each building on their move-in day from about 8 o'clock in the morning until about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And they're there as volunteers to help move items into the building. Now, we are really hoping we're going to be able to bring this program back again in the fall. Even our volunteers are asking if they can come back and help. So people are really excited to welcome everyone to campus. If we are able to offer that program, it will be included in that assignment email information, but our fingers and toes are crossed here that we're going to be able to offer that program again. And you will see people around campus in a lanyard that are here as a helping hand and to make that happen.
If a student stays for the summer, will they need to move or can they stay in the same housing?
Great question. That really depends on where students are placed when they are here for fall and winter. We do rotate the buildings that are open during the summertime so that we're able to accommodate a variety of different facilities updates. So if your student is placed in an area and they are interested in staying for the summer, they want to let us know that we can take a look, if possible, to see if they are placed in an area that would be considered to be open for the summer. Generally, our downtown campus does remain open in the summer. This last year, it was our South apartments that remained open in the summer. And we do have students that decide to stay on with us for a year at a time or for 15 months at a time. But each of those different kind of contract periods, we do fall and winter, and then we do spring, summer. So we don't have a full year contract for students to be able to connect in that way, but we are able to work with students so that they're able to have accommodations in our summer housing as well.
Are roommates typically scheduled to move in on the same date?
Great question. Everybody from the same building will be assigned to move in on the same date. Last year, we did make some modifications to that to stagger move-in from floors and rooms. And if that's something that we needed to do again, we would let people know. But we do move the roommates in on the same day so that we know if someone needs a morning and someone needs an afternoon, is what we did last year during COVID time. We are really hoping that this year we're going to move back to pre-COVID and say, here's your move-in day, and it kind of naturally staggers itself.
Are the dorms sprayed for bugs and rodents?
That's a good question. I think particularly as if you visited campus, we are very close to the ravine. So we have all sorts of animals that come very close to our buildings, including deer and turkeys and raccoons. We have a variety of different things that we work with a regular extermination company to both keep our students and our staff safe from anything from flying bugs to spiders to any animals that might try and come up and into the building. Of course, we remind students it's best not to feed any of the animals out there, but sometimes you see someone going by with a curly fry. So we do encourage that. But yes, we have a regular program that we work on with our exterminating company. These are great questions. I will say to the roommate question, one thing I do want to note is we do have roommates that are paired together sometimes that are participating in different either orientations or they're participating in different activities on campus. So if someone was going to be working on campus or perhaps was part of marching band, they might move in early because of that opportunity. So you might find in some cases a roommate is moving in early because of that opportunity. So best to really connect once you get that information in that email, reach out, start that conversation, you know, okay, Tuesday's our move-in day. And do you have a refrigerator? I have a microwave. And, you know, do we want to go with Bluefish shower curtain? You know, all of those great conversations to get started and make those connections, make that first meeting a little bit less awkward. And I will say those are great conversations to have even with your best friend that lives next door. Let's still talk about, okay, what are we going to do? And what are some of the things that we're looking forward to? And what do we anticipate or need to talk about?
Do each of the buildings have their own laundry?
They do. So all of our buildings do have laundry. And this year we moved from a card system where we gave each student a card that had 90 cycles on it for them to use over the course of the year. We just turned all of the washers and dryers on. So students have access to washers and dryers in their buildings that they can just go down, press the buttons, wash and dry their clothes. And that does not have any sort of monetary connection to their bill. It's just a service that we have turned on. We're finding that it makes it easier for students to be able to access the laundry facilities, and then they don't need to carry a card or quarters or something like that. Yeah, I was really excited about that. I remember back when I was in school having that roll of quarters or, you know, that Ziploc bag and kind of pawing through. So it's nice. Although my daughter tells me she's still planning on bringing it home. So all of us as supporters know that that's kind of part of the role, I think. I see the question, are the washers high efficiency? They are. So we encourage students to use either the high efficiency detergents, or if they want to use one of the pods, to just throw it in the washing machine along with everything else. And I will say the dryers dry. They are hot dryers. So at home, cotton sturdy works great. Here, we might want to take it down to permanent press. One of the things we also have in all of our buildings for students, particularly that are in areas that have a full meal plan, you could stop over at Kleiner, which has a convenience store, and you could buy a cake mix and bake it in the oven that's in your main lobby or on the floor that you have a kitchen access. If you wanted to make your roommate a birthday cake, or you decided that you wanted to make a meal for your floor, we saw some of that this year with small groups getting together to make a meal here or there, just to kind of have that family experience here on campus. So all of our students do have access to community kitchens, and we do have some supplies for them to use as well, you know, bigger baking sheets, things like that they might not have in their rooms.
All right, what if we can't come on the assigned move-in day?
Absolutely. Important to let us know, particularly if you need to come early or come late. So if you are coming early, we want to chat with you about what it looks like to have an early arrival. And if it's part of a program or if it's a personal need, we're able to accommodate those. We also want to know if you're coming late, just because we start making calls at about 5 o'clock on move-in day, just to make sure that you're okay and you're still on your way, or what your plan might be. Plus, we want to make sure that you're able to connect with your group for transitions. And that is our really in-person orientation that all of our students will go through, both through modules as well as some in-person activities, that they really get connected and get the information that they need to help them be successful, including their floor meeting. So if they're not able to connect in that way, we want to make sure that their resident assistant, who is a student peer mentor on the floor, is able to connect with them, get them their information, and get them connected to their transitions group as soon as they're able to.
When using dining dollars, how far does the 225 go? Is the food affordably priced?
Well, like most things, it depends what you decide to purchase. We do have a Starbucks on both the Allendale and the Pew campus. And if you are a fan of Starbucks, that money can go pretty quickly. So I think the food is fairly priced. I don't know if others would say the same, but again, I think it really depends on what you choose. And what we try to tell students is if you're trying to really get the best value out of your meal plan, make sure you use the meals first, regardless if you use them at Fresh or if you use them at other places. Make sure you're using your meals each week. That's going to give you the best value. And then dip into those dining dollars for things that aren't considered a meal. So for example, we have an Einstein Brothers bagel on campus. There aren't any, meals there. So if your student wants to go and get a bagel in the morning or maybe get a bagel sandwich at lunch, that would be a time when you'd use dining dollars. We also have a Qdoba on campus. So we do have some brands where you would have to use dining dollars. Something to point out though is that some national brands that we have, for example, Subway and Panda Express, they're a portion of the menu you can select from and use a meal. So again, great way to stretch the value of your meal plan. Now, not everything on that menu is considered a meal. So kind of help your students cue in on that. We do have a meal icon. It says meal. It's got kind of like an orange target around it. We use those on our menu boards to help students identify the things that they can choose to use a meal for. So 225 might go a long way for your student, or it might not go very far.
I will say too that the dining staff are very helpful, particularly in those first few weeks of trying to navigate what is a meal exchange, what is debit dollars, what is a meal. And I see students coming through in the morning and about 2 weeks in, they're like, oh yeah, this, at Kleiner, which is our brand, they're grabbing a coffee and a bagel and they're like, oh, that's a meal. Like they're going to swipe that as a meal and not use dining dollars. And they've got a plan and they know what they're doing and they're just taking that coffee and throwing the bagel in their backpack and moving right on. So they do get some help along the way, both from the RA staff, other students, the dining staff are there to kind of help navigate some of those.
One thing that's really helpful to students, when they're thinking about using their meals, obviously fresh food is pretty easy. You go in, you just choose whatever you want, you eat until you're satisfied and you leave. For the combo meals at other restaurants, when your student moves in the fall, they will find we call it the combo cheat sheet, and it's a rack card. It's just one panel front and back, and it will list, broken down by building, the options that they have in each restaurant. We do also keep that on our website. So I'm going to put that in the chat right now so that you can just kind of get an idea what those meals look like. Keep in mind, this is last year's listing. We will update this a little bit later this summer, but this will at least give you an opportunity to kind of see what a meal might be at some other locations.
Any other housing or dining questions? Are there any 24-hour dining options?
Well, hang on, let me send this. I'm not good at two things at once. We do have a C-store that's in the heart of the residential area, and that is 24 hours. And in there are some things that students could choose. There are some meal options even in our convenience stores. So students could still use a meal in the middle of the night. But I will tell you, we do have a main dining location, which is inside Kleiner on North Campus, and another on South Campus called The Connection. And those are typically open until midnight. So we are serving meals from 10 p.m. to midnight. So anybody who's interested in dining after midnight would probably then be going to the C-store.
And that program that Deb is talking about, students call late night. So if you hear something, some people talk about late night, not only is it a time where people are coming back from class or working out or whatever their meetings are in the evenings, they might have had an activity, but that is the place to go and grab a snack and see folks and make connections. And they have all sorts of fun, different things that they serve, but that is a main thing that students are very excited about when they come and they go to late night. So you might hear about that.
Something to point out, if your student is on a weekly meal plan, they can use up to 4 meals per day. So that means they have 28 opportunities per week to use their meals. So I say up to 4 meals per day, but of course that unlimited fresh plan is the one exception. So, they could go to breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night. We find that most students really aren't breakfast people. Typically, students like to get something for breakfast from the C-store and put it in their rooms, and then they have breakfast whenever they roll out of bed. So they are able to, maybe they want to go to early lunch, late lunch, dinner, and late night. That's absolutely fine too. So they do have some flexibility in terms of the time of day that they choose to eat.
We have a question about maintenance for problems with sinks, toilets, showers, and do students have control over the heat in their rooms?
Great question. For any maintenance concerns, we do encourage students to either call facilities or to enter a work order onto their work order system. And the reason we do that is because the student is the best expert at what's going wrong in their space. To be able to then share that with facilities, they can reach back out to the student, let them know when they're going to come and work on that, or did a part need to be ordered, and they're able to communicate that way with the student. If the student is uncomfortable, doesn't know the phone number, is just like, I want help with this, they can connect with their RA, they can connect with the housing office or their living center director. Any of those folks are happy to help and can walk students through that process and make that work order as well. As far as control over the heat in their space, really depends on the area of campus that they're in. For some of our areas of campus, there is steam heat. So when we turn the heat on for campus, the heat is on. Before that, it is not. And so students have less control over that way. But within a certain degrees, they do have control in their room. So there are some governors so that they can't go, below 55 degrees or above, about 85 degrees. But they do have some control over that space. We do encourage students to bring fans for the windows when they first move in August. They use them for a few weeks and then again, sometimes in April, depending on how our weather is. But depends on the area of campus that you are in. For our apartments on campus, students are able to have a little bit more control over the temperature gauge versus some of our areas in our freshman campus.
Well, it looks like the chat is kind of winding down, but please keep in mind that you can reach out to any individual department or office throughout the summer months if further questions pop up, which we realize will happen, right? This is a lot of information to process. And so we are all available and eager to help throughout the summer. Brandy, I'm not sure if you wanted to share that contact slide. So please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much again for attending our Q&A session this evening. We are extremely excited to see you and your student this fall. Brandy, Deb, if you want to say any parting words.
I just wanted to let you know, again, as Liz said, if you have any follow-up questions or you're feeling unsure about something, please connect with us. Our goal is to help your student understand how to use their meal plan before they even arrive. When we go through our dining spaces and we see students kind of wide-eyed and obviously questioning what to do next, it's obviously part of just learning to be part of the campus community. But whatever we can do to help them be comfortable on day one, we're happy to do that. And we really look forward to welcoming your student and getting that Laker life going.
We're excited to see you all on your move-in day. And please take a moment to write down this information. If you need us, please feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer questions. We know sometimes either something jogs your memory later after the chat is closed. Again, make sure that your student is looking at their GVSU email for their assignment information about mid to late June. That's where they're going to get a lot of additional information and they are able to connect with their roommates. So we encourage them to read that through and then share that with you as well.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.